Hello, Professor Shadow here. Just a quick message before we watch The Wolfman Awakens. I've been wanting to write this story for many years. As a young boy, I had a thing called a Super 8mm projector, and on there was this big reel, and it had about 4 or 5 short little cuts of movies, and one of them was called The Wolfman's Cure, and it was where this Lon Chaney Jr. jumped down into this cliff, over the cliff face. And as a young boy, I always imagined, what if he never came out? What if he was stuck in there? What if there was something in there that never resurfaced? Let's enjoy The Wolfman Awakens.
I come here day after day and look into the sea. I know the moon is coming. She stopped me once. I must end it before it consumes me totally. You know, I made it here without her. She doesn't know I've come. She does not know what I have done.
The Wolfman Awakens, Part 1, Chapter 1. The Gathering at Blackthorn Manor, year 2025. The sea is rough, crashing against jagged cliffs along the East Yorkshire coast. Mist rolls in from the water and gulls circle above the battered shoreline. Perched high above, brooding against the storm, stands Blackthorn Manor, a sprawling estate of grey stone and ivy, its windows glowing faintly in the dim light. 2 figures arrive by car along the winding drive. Edward Ashby, 20, and his cousin, Clara Ashby, 19. Both members of the old Ashby line have been summoned. Their parents spoke of the manor only rarely, as if it carried a weight too heavy for casual mention.
This is a family secret, something you must never speak of.
For Edward and Clara, this is their first true visit to the ancestral seat. They step out, gazing up at the vast building. The grounds stretch wide, carefully kept gardens near the house, but further out, untamed stretches of wild grass push toward the cliff edge. The roar of the sea carries up from below. On the gravel path, they meet Mr. Sallow, the estate's gardener. He is wiry, stooped, his hands blackened with soil, his face weathered like old wood. His eyes dart nervously as he regards them. Mr. Sallow, quietly.
Beware the manor. It holds secrets best left buried.
Before either cousin can press him further, he shuffles off, muttering under his breath, disappearing among the hedgerows. Inside, the cousins are led into a great hall, hung with portraits of ancestors, their painted eyes following every step. At the head of a long oak table sits Lady Margaret Ashby, the family matriarch. Tall, stern, her hair silver and bound tightly back. She rises slowly, her cane clicking against the floor. Lady Margaret, you wonder why you have been called here? The Ashby line has suffered a loss. Your uncle has passed. With his death comes the reading of the will and the settling of matters that will affect you both. But this house, this land, it is not like others. It carries history. It carries shadows. Clara leans closer to Edward, whispering uneasily. Clara, I keep hearing about a curse. What does it mean? Lady Margaret fixes them both with a piercing stare.
Do not awaken the curse.
Firmly, do not awaken the curse. Whatever you may hear, whatever you may see, you must not disturb what sleeps beneath this manor. The storm outside rattles the tall windows. The fire pops loudly in the hearth. For a moment, it seems the whole house is listening. The cousins exchange a glance, in equal parts intrigue and dread. Chapter 2. The Legend of the Cliff. The morning mist clung low across the grounds of Blackthorn Manor. Edward and Clara walked side by side along the gravel paths, their breath clouding in the cool sea air. Behind them, the manor loomed, its windows watching like silent eyes.
What do you think Lady Margaret meant by the curse?
Do you think we're going to inherit anything? Or are we just here for ghost stories?
Edward gave a small shrug, though his eyes stayed sharp. I don't know, but the way she said it, it was more warning than tale. They turned a corner, and once again found themselves facing Mr. Sallow, the gardener. He was bent low over the soil, his wiry frame shaking as though even the earth resisted him.
Mr. Sallow, do you know anything about this curse?
The old man straightened slowly, his eyes darting, his face worn like weathered stone. He leaned on his spade, voice low and gravelly.
There's a legend. An old family member, long ago.
He threw himself from the cliffs, just there beyond the grounds. Some say he was mad. Others, tormented, cursed. Clara stepped closer, brow furrowed. Mr. Sallow. It was 200 years ago. They say he ravaged the village, killed without reason. When the curse overtook him, he could not control himself. The story goes, he hurled himself into the sea to end it, so that he would never harm again. If he had not, the beast would have consumed him completely. He would have been lost forever. No man, no soul, only the curse. Edward and Clara exchanged a glance, unease settling over them. Clara, whispering, consumed completely. The two cousins continued on, leaving the gardener behind. They came to the cliff's edge, where the sea raged and crashed far below. The wind pulled at their coats, carrying the salt spray to their faces.
Look at it, so many caves, carved out by the waves.
Smugglers used them once, even pirates. You can see the entrances when the water pulls back. Hidden places, forgotten places, but the waves are too fierce for a boat to reach them. Clara peered over the edge, her stomach tightening. The cliffs were jagged, eroding, fragile, and impossible to climb down. One wrong step, and the whole face could collapse. Edward's expression hardened with determination. Edward, not for me. I've trained for this. I've climbed worse. If there's something down there, I can reach it. Clara turned on him, eyes wide. Clara, firm, almost laughing. Edward, it's just a legend. Nothing could live for 200 years. He's gone. Whatever happened, it's long buried. The sea roared beneath them, a hollow echo that seemed to rise up through the cliffs themselves. The cousins stood silent for a moment, gazing into the misty abyss, the air heavy with secrets, the waves below whispering of things not yet dead. Chapter 3. The dinner at Blackthorn Manor. The long dining hall of Blackthorn Manor was lit with candlelight and fire, shadows trembling across portraits that lined the walls. Edward and Clara sat together at the far side of the oak table, their plates before them untouched. Around them, 6 others filled the chairs. Lady Margaret Ashby presided at the head, her silver hair gleaming in the firelight, cane propped against the table. Beside her sat the maid, Agnes, young, pale, her eyes downcast, moving only when serving wine. Across from Edward and Clara were 4 other family members. distant cousins or relatives, each cloaked in a quiet strangeness. One, Mr. Haldred, was broad-shouldered, his beard thick and black, his eyes flickering like a man half in shadow. Another, Miss Evelyn, sat stiff and elegant, her smile cold, her gaze lingering on Clara too long. Beside her, Dr. Rowan, thin and severe, adjusted his gloves nervously, speaking rarely, but watching everyone with a hawk's eye. Last was Jonas Ashby, younger than the others, but with a sly grin, his fingers tapping idly on the wood as if restless. The meal was served, but the air was thick with anticipation, not appetite. Lady Margaret, sternly. "You all know why we are gathered here. Your uncle's passing has left a void in this house. His will has not yet been opened, but one of you will inherit. One of you will be chosen to carry the Ashby mantle." Edward shifted uneasily, whispering low to Clara. Edward.
They make it sound like a throne, not an inheritance.
Clara, whispering back. "Or a burden." Across the table, Evelyn tilted her head, her voice silk over steel. Miss Evelyn. "It is more than wealth, Edward. It is an honour, a duty, to carry what runs in our blood." Her eyes lingered on Clara again, almost hungrily, before she sipped her wine. Mr. Haldred gave a deep chuckle, but it was humourless. Mr. Haldred. Not all have the strength for it. Some would falter. A silence followed, broken only by the faint pop of the fire. Clara tightened her grip on her fork. She felt watched by the family, by the portraits, by the house itself. Lady Margaret's cane struck the floor, echoing like a gavel. Lady Margaret. "Enough. The will shall be read tomorrow. Tonight, you remember who you are. Ashbys. This house does not forget." The storm rattled the tall windows, wind whistling through the cracks like a distant howl. For a moment, Clara thought she saw Jonas's reflection in the glass distort, his smile lengthening, teeth sharper than they should be. But when she blinked, it was gone. The meal carried on, but the unease hung heavier than the smoke in the hall. Chapter 4. Shadows of the Pack. Edward and Clara stood together in one of the manor's long corridors, their voices hushed, echoing faintly against the panelled walls. The candles, set in iron sconces, sputtered in the draught. Clara, quietly.
Edward, they all speak of the curse as though it's
Alive in this house.
Did you see the way Evelyn looked at me?
Like she knew something. Edward shook his head, though unease lingered in his eyes. Edward, they're hiding something, Clara. Something older than money or inheritance. A slow clap echoed behind them. They turned to see Jonas Ashby stepping out of the shadows. His grin was sharp, his dark eyes gleaming with mischief or menace.
You're both too curious for your own good.
Clara stiffened. Clara, then tell us, what is this curse? What really happened to the one who threw himself from the cliffs? Jonas leaned lazily against the wall, his grin never fading. Jonas mocking.
The curse is not what you think it is. People whisper of madness, of torment, but I say he was a coward.
Not a martyr. Anyone with that sort of gift should never throw it away. Edward frowned. Edward. Gift. He killed people. He destroyed lives. Jonas's eyes flashed in the candlelight. Jonas, low, almost growling. He destroyed his greatest strength. How can you represent your family if you throw away what makes you more than a man? For a long moment, silence filled the corridor. Jonas straightened, his smile thinning, his tone almost offhand, yet waited. Jonas.
I feel certain it will be me who inherits. Not just the wealth, the duty, the place among the pack.
The word lingered, strange and heavy. Clara's stomach turned, though she forced a smile, as if she hadn't heard the slip. Edward narrowed his eyes, studying Jonas, as though trying to decide whether he had meant it. Jonas bowed theatrically, his grin returning. Jonas, light, teasing. Best to get some rest, cousins. Tomorrow's revelation may change everything. He disappeared back into the shadows, his footsteps fading into silence. Edward and Clara exchanged a look, part fear, part dawning realization. Clara whispering, "What did he mean? Pack?" The corridor fell still, save for the whisper of the storm outside. Chapter 5. The choice of the pack. The storm raged harder than ever, waves battering the cliffs. Edward tightened the straps of his climbing gear, determination in his eyes. Clara clutched his arm, her face pale.
Edward, no! This is madness! You don't know what's down there!
Edward, firm with resolve.
I'm an adept climber, Clara. Rock climbing's my life. If there's something hidden in
Those caves, I'm going to find out, one way or another. She shook her head, but his resolve was unshakable. With a final glance, he clipped onto the rope and began his descent down the jagged cliffside, the sea spray lashing against him. Clara remained at the top, her coat whipping in the wind, eyes fixed on her cousin as he disappeared into the mist. From the shadows of the manor's garden path, Jonas stepped forward, his smile sharp. Beside him came Lady Margaret, cane in hand, her silver hair catching the lightning. Lady Margaret, coldly, "It looks like fate has chosen for us." Jonas's grin widened. Jonas smirking, "Yes, fate has chosen the successor." The words struck Clara with unease she couldn't name. Jonas's eyes lingered on her, the hunger in them unmistakable. Inside the cave, Edward moved cautiously, his lantern casting trembling light across the dripping walls.
Is anybody
the sound
there?
of his boots echoed in the damp silence. Edward, calling out.
Is anybody there?
Only his voice came back to him, distorted by the cavern. He pressed deeper, brushing past stalactites and loose stone. Then he stopped. Ahead of him lay a mound of earth, half collapsed, unnatural. Edward dropped to his knees and began clawing at it, his breath quickening, soil crumbling away under his hands. Inside the manor. Clara sat rigid in the great hall, Lady Margaret and Jonas standing before her, the storm rattling the windows like restless spirits. Clara, quiet, defiant.
What about Edward? If he has gone down there, he will never return. No one ever comes back from the caves.
Clara's throat tightened. Lady Margaret, leaning closer, her eyes hard. "You are part of our family, Clara. The bloodline must endure. We need a new mother for our pack, and you have been chosen." Jonas stepped forward, his smile cruel, triumphant. Jonas, "And I will be the father." His shadow stretched long across the wall as thunder boomed outside. Clara's face drained of color, the truth dawning like a nightmare.
You live. Are you alive?
So that's the end of part 1, The Wolfman Awakens. Part 2, coming very soon. I do hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget, if you want to find out more, delve deeper, don't forget I have a membership where you can jump in and see why I created these stories as I go in depth and behind the scenes on the reasons, the philosophy, the meaning behind many of my stories. Until next time, for part 2 of The Wolfman Awakens, Professor Shadow here, signing out. I'll see you real soon.